Sheldon Primus.
Welcome to the Safety Consultant Show with Sheldon Primus, where we blend safety smarts with business brilliance and a pinch of Sheldon's signature wit. Whether you're a safety pro, a fresh-faced consultant, or just safety curious, get ready for a show that'll educate, entertain, and elevate your safety game. Let's dive into the art of consulting with your safety Sherpa himself, Sheldon Primus.
This episode is powered by Safety FM.
All right. Well, welcome everybody to another episode of the Safety Consulting Podcast. I'm your host, Sheldon Primus, the podcast where I teach you the business of being a safety consultant. We talk about safety and health as a whole. We talk about regulations, which is one of the things we usually talk about in January, and I'm going to open this up with a very special conversation. But that's what I do for you guys. I help you guys that are about to make that jump into becoming a safety consultant. You're like making their plans. In the background, I know you still got to go to work and you still got to show up. But in the back of your mind, you're ready to go. You're like, yes, it's my year. Gonna get out of here. Deuces. Yeah, I got you. So we're going to work together. I'm going to get you guys set. Going to get you where you could be ready to have your own business. That's what I do here at the Safety Consultant Show with Sheldon Primus. And today, like promised, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about some upcoming things, some stuff that you guys are going to really want to be aware of. And yes, I'm going to talk to you about politics. Politics.
Whoa!
I know, my bad. But I have to because there's a big change in the U.S. For those of you that are not in the U.S., you may have an equivalent to our parties. We're a two-party system here. More than two parties, but two major party system. And they pretty much run things between the Republicans and Democrats. Of course, there's some independents and a few other actual parties that are technically on books, but Republican and Democrats, they run stuff. So this year, the U.S. has voted back into office President Trump. So a Republican is coming back into office, and that means the Democratic agenda, policies, procedures, mindsets, everything else is going to change. So what does that mean for us as consultants? What does that mean for us as people who are trying to be the consultant for our company, whoever we're working for? So that's what I'm going to help you out with today. So that's it. See? The topic. Ta-da! So let's get right into it. This is actually going to be kind of like a pre-episode that it's going to set the stage. I'm going to have subsequent discussions about just what to expect with the future Trump administration, because we actually have history. So we know what the last one was like, and if we have some assumptions that we could make from the previous Trump administration, I'm going to go ahead and do that. These are kind of the expectations I'm going to be using with my clients, U.S. clients. So honestly, I'm going to lay it out for you guys too. And later on, not today, but I can't spend all the time with that, but I'm also going to throw in some things that we did have with the Chevron deference being turned over by the Supreme Court last year. That's going to have another wrinkle to it with this new administration. So I want to just kind of address that. I'm also going to throw in the E in our titles for EH&S, for environmental. I'm going to throw in some considerations for a new Trump term in environmental as well. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to do red versus blue in politics, what this political agenda, how is it going to shape EPA and OSHA compliance for us, and then how we're going to make this also work for our clients too. So that's what we're going for. That's the hope. So there we go. We're going to explore those two things together. Get everybody prepared. So first, there is a philosophy divide, okay? If you guys have been listening to this show for a while, you could go back to the episode where I got a chance to interview the former Deputy Assistant Secretary of OSHA, Sheldon Primus. And Jordan told me about, well, first I asked him, and this was season 4, episode 258. You guys go back there. It's March 11th, 2024. So almost a year ago. So I asked him like a round of true or false with OSHA. And one of the things I asked, and I put it like this. I usually talk to my students whenever I do the Certificate of Occupational Safety Specialist class or the Certified Occupational Safety Manager class, that I am only a contract instructor. It's not my courses. It's not my program. Contract instructor. So as a contract instructor, I tell my class, hey, I'm an active safety consultant, and I'm going to teach you guys as if you're going to be consultants. So the week I got them, I teach them that way. So on our OSHA day, I tell them on the OSHA day that, all right, OSHA being a member of the Department of Labor, they're going to have some nuances related to who's in office. So when I talked to Jordan about this, one of the things that I said to him is I always tell my class that if there's a Republican in office, that OSHA and EPA and some other agencies will most likely go into compliance assistance phase and let more business-friendly agenda be their guiding principle. Whereas when a Democrat's in office, it's compliance enforcement. And you'll see new standards, and you'll see a lot of enforcement and compliance activities, which is also denoted by the budget. So go to OSHA's budget from the Office of Management and Budget. You could see that. They'll even show you a history of where the money goes as far as enforcements. And you could see the dollar figures that actually go towards enforcement during a Republican or a Democratic administration. So, I forgot. Whoa, hold on. Don't want you guys to get mad at me. Nope, getting mad at Sheldon. So, first and foremost, I'm giving you guys information. I'm not going to say, this is a right candidate, wrong candidate, right president, wrong president. My overall philosophy is, yes, I have favorites when it comes to election time, but whoever gets elected, I want them to hit it out the park. Me right now, I'm not going to say I'm the biggest Donald Trump fan, but, and there me go. I just told you I'm not going to give away anything, and there I go, giving it away. But what I am going to say is, I want him and his administration to absolutely knock it out the park. I want them to go ahead and make me eat crow. I want them to have the best amount of just doing all they can for the American people, and honestly, just go ahead and take the reins and get us what we're all looking for being as an American. That's my hope. My hope is that every single person that comes from that administration is plugged into making America better, and they're going to go ahead and, again, hit a home run, right? That's what I'm looking for. So, there you go. That's my expectation with the new administration. But doing this as long as I am and being a semi-OSHA specialist, I am just attuned to what to expect. And I am a U.S.-based consultant, so I have to be attuned to what to expect. So let's give you guys, again, the philosophy and the dividing philosophy that Sheldon Primus, I've actually seen many other people say this. And so again, compliance assistance or business friendly is what we're expected to see the next 4 years. Compliance enforcement will have to be done in certain industries. OSHA, no matter what, is not going to let go of those things. There's certain things that will get done regardless of if it's a Democrat or a Republican in office. That's just how the system's going to work with the laws and rules. However, there will be some some stymieing of progress, if you look at it that way, when it comes to new rules and regulations, where some people may not say it's stymieing progress, is giving the employer the opportunity to step up and to actually start protecting their workers in-house without having a regulator waving a stick at them. So that's your two sides over there, right? So right now, I'm going to give you just a little stats. And my stats actually this time is going to be AI assisted. So I'm trying this out. I'm letting you guys know. Part of my my classes that I teach, I'm telling my students I'm completely embracing AI. I'll give you guys the speech I give my kids. Not my kids, my bad guys. Wow. Not my kids. My students. Tell my students, just check on stuff, right? So I'm looking through this. I'm looking at the BLS data. I'm looking at a few other things. We're looking at OSHA inspection logs, and everything that's coming out looking good. So in case I miss anything, I also want to give you guys the disclaimer that I'm also using chat in this case to help me out with some of the data stream. I know where to get it. I just needed it to put it together in a nice package for me. So I went through, and my query, or what I'm asking for, was going over the administrations for George W. Bush, going into the Obama administration, going into Trump administration, going into Biden administration. That's stuff that's passed. We have lagging indicators and data, so we could go back to that stuff and we could see it empirical data. So the data set's coming from BLS, it's coming from the OSHA website, and specialty groups. So right now, from what I'm seeing and what I'm gathering is, again, the focus when the Democratic office is going to be on new standards. What kind of standards are we going to have now? I don't know. I really don't know if things are going to change much with new standards or not, but I am going to tell you how to find it. So what you're going to want to do is you want to keep an eye on what's called the regulatory agenda. I've mentioned it a few times before in this class. And Department of Labor is going to have its own regulatory agenda for for OSHA. And that regulatory agenda is just going to tell you what's coming up in the agency, right? So right now we've got some rules that are proposed for cranes and derricks and communication safety towers, lockout, tagout, tree care, violence prevention in healthcare, welding and construction for confined spaces. Those are the things that are on the docket to show up in the next 4 years. So when I say that laws may be more business friendly, or you may see a stymieing in laws, all the things that you're seeing in the regulatory agenda, and that's the terminology. You go to OSHA.gov, you're going to go on the tab that says standards, click on that, go down to regulatory agenda, and once you select that, it's going to tell you you're leaving OSHA's website. You click to that, and that's going to get you to the regulatory agenda. So that's me talking you through it, all right? And for everybody who doesn't know the rules are you're only looking at this when you get home. You're listening it to now if you're driving. When you get home, then you can follow my instructions to get to this page. No driving and looking at your phone. There you go. All right, so that's the regulatory agenda. We're going to keep an eye on that. The best way to keep an eye on that is let Google or one of those alert services do it for you. Find the agenda topic that is best describes or at least something that you're going to have to deal with, like fit testing. Everybody with a respiratory program. OSHA is about to update the fit testing to make that something that will be more up to date with what we're doing with quantitative fit testing. Heat stress, that's another one. So keep an eye on that. So you'll do Google alert that says heat stress is the thing that you want Google to look for. Whenever there's a news article, it sends you a notification that there's new news in this topic or on this topic. So that's how you're going to keep up with that. One of the things that is also notable about the Democratic versus Republican is the actual dollar figures of inspections. There's a chart in the field operation manual that OSHA uses for actual guidance related to how much dollars you're going to pick, but it's a range. So you can expect to see that range be a little bit lower as you can. And under the Trump administration last time, not only was the penalties lower, but the inspections were lower. So they basically dropped from 45,000 annually as a peak to 35,000 annually as a peak. So 10,000 fewer inspections during that time period with less penalties. So there's a rollback that was done. So that's a big difference, stuff that we're going to want to be aware of. So how that translates is, honestly, you don't want to start telling people, well, OSHA's going to get you. That may not be true right yet. Depends on industries and a few other things. So you don't want to wave the OSHA stick for compliance with your own rules and regs for during this time period. You're going to want to stick with more empirical data and also stick with things that are best practices in some ways. Definitely you want to make sure you follow OSHA standards, but let's say you're getting some people who are feeling like they are above the standards, or at least they're doing the bare minimum but still keep putting themselves at risk. Then again, you're going to not want to wave the, you're going to get cited by OSHA. You want to just say, hey, don't you want to live, or don't you want to be uninjured in this activity? Work with me. All right. So that's just some of the things I wanted to bring to you. I got a couple other things I want to make sure that we touch base on before I let you guys go and give you some closing thoughts. But right now, I gave you guys the philosophy divide between the two. I gave you some kind of expectations with inspections. And when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about the E part, the EPA, and what to expect on that side, okay? I don't want you guys to think that we're only safety, which we do primarily do, but, occasionally we are the E part of our job as well. So we'll come right back.
We'll be back with more of Sheldon Primus and the Safety Consultant Show in just a moment. Are you ready to make a difference? Introducing the Safety Consultant Blueprint course. Unlock your potential as a safety consultant. Learn the skills, strategies, and ethics to create safer workplaces for your very own client. From risk assessment to client acquisition, we've got you covered. Become a safety consultant and open doors to being your own boss. Join us and be the hero of workplace safety. Enroll today. Safety starts with you. Take the first step now. Visit our website and enroll in the Safety Consultant Blueprint course. Empower businesses. Protect lives. SafetyConsultantBlueprint.com. We now return to the Safety Consultant Show. Once again, here's Sheldon Primus.
All right, so let's talk about the E part of our name with the EPA. So a lot of us who have to do environmental, we're going to need to know what to expect as well, right? So there's been some differences between the two major parties when it comes to environmental laws, but the principles are still pretty much around the same. So Democratic administrations, you're going to be looking at more clean power plans, as it did in the Obama's administration. And then they're also going to have higher penalties during that and more enforcement. That's the theme, if you would. During the last Trump administration, deregulation was strong. So he repealed, President Trump at the time repealed or weakened, as we might think of it, over 100 environmental rules. And I don't know if everybody I started out in the environmental side before I got into the safety side as a wastewater operator. So I'm very keen to the environmental side, and one of those rules that was weakened is the Water of the United States rule. And I say weakened because that's my perspective. But honestly, chances are you're going to start looking towards your programs that are going to be things with water and air, and soil. Those type of regulations are probably going to be rollback, and there's also something called when I say rollback. All right, so let me back up a little. Just backing up just a little bit, not like completely crazy, but what I'm going to say is there's a certain rule out there. So let's say a majority of Congress and a majority of Senate says that one of Biden's rules in the last few months of his inauguration, of his administration, up to 6 months of a rule being born, they say this rule is just too much. They can't do it. Heat stress or something similar, or one of the other rules that may have come in towards the last 6 months. So if the majority of Congress, majority of Senate, and the president signs off that this rule is too much, what will happen is there'll be a Congressional Review Act that will take precedent. So let's say that there was a rule, and I don't think the heat stress is official yet, but let's say the heat stress did come in, and all of a sudden now we've got this heat stress standard that is active, and it's not, but let's say we had that, right? So what will happen is, since it's only weeks before, or 1 week before the new administration, it's well within the 6 month period. So what, again, the majority of Senate, majority of House will have to say to the president, this rule is too much, business can't comply. And then after they vote, president signs off to repeal this rule. It's gone for good. It can't be redone. It can't be brought back in its same state. It would actually have to be heat stress in general industry, or heat stress in construction, or heat stress during this specific activity. Then it could come back. But if a Congressional Review Act thing was done in, I would imagine January and February, late January, early February, if you start seeing the words Congressional Review Act being used in the news, something just got repealed. Some new rule just got repealed, and it's gone for good in that form. So kind of keep an eye or an ear out for that one as well. Man, did I digress there. There's a bunch. So another thing that I'm going to tell you, and again, I'm going to do these short series coming up here. We just started, and I'm going to be just taking you guys through what to expect. I'm coaching my students through this. I'm coaching as much as my clients this and everything else, getting everybody ready. So we are going to be in an age coming up where business is going to have to take precedence. So OSHA is, yes, a stick, if you want to use it as that way to get people to take action. But there's also things like ISO 45001, ISO 45003, which is the International Organization of Standardization. 45001 is for safety management system. 45003 is for psychological safety considerations. Push your company to that. Push your clients to that, and don't have to worry about compliance anymore. Same thing with voluntary protection program. That's actually really big in the Republican administrations. I would start looking for VPP. If you're really close to becoming voluntary protection program, this is your time to push it, to get it in there. There'll be some money for that. Susan Harwood grants, there's always money for that. So don't worry, Susan Harwood grants will always be there for training. All right, another thing I'm going to tell you. Here's some insights and trends. I mentioned some already, but here's a major trend that you're going to want to make sure you look for. Is you want to make sure that you look for when things are being deregulated. So again, the first things to look for is looking for any new rule that came in within the last 6 months of this outgoing administration. Google Notes or Google Alert, excuse me. You want to set on one for that. And then you also want to listen enough to the news to find out if there is movement in your regulated areas. Again, Google Alert will help you with that. But definitely think about deregulation. That's going to be the key right now. Enforcement, you're going to work on, if you're like process safety management, okay, enforcement. If you're going to self-report, meaning that you had an injury, that someone needed to go to the hospital or there was a fatality, okay, you're going to have some triggered inspections from that. But usually, again, the major trend is you're going to be looking for some deregulation, all right? So red or viewed blue, that's the colors we use in the U.S. to denote our political party. Red is for Republican, blue is for Democrats. Also Republican is going to be your elephant, blue is going to be your donkey. That's the way the U.S. uses the symbolism. But overall, if you're red or you're blue, your safety concerns are going to stay the same. You want to make sure your workers are going to be protected. So your current clients, you're not going to stress OSHA as being the big bad wolf here. You're going to stress, what can we do to get beyond compliance? What can we do to make sure that the workers are safe? And you're not thinking about OSHA, because that's even way below you. That's just starting. It's like graduating high school from a D. You're doing good, but you're not going to Harvard. So that's really OSHA compliance right there in a nutshell. So honestly, you guys just be ready. Think beyond compliance. And I will tell you next week when we talk, I'm going to talk a little bit more about the future of the Trump administration. I used to do a presentation called The Future of OSHA for ASSP. Now I'm going to do the future of OSHA per the Trump administration again. So look out for that. I'm going to talk about the Chevron deference, what that means for us, and then also going to mention a little bit more about the data set between George W. Bush, Obama, Trump, first terms, and then Biden. I'm going to do some comparing and contrasting next week as well. So Chevron deference and comparing and contrasting those four administrations. So that is it, gang. I know talking politics isn't something that everybody wants to do, but this is a big one, and it's going to be a big thing that's happening in our career, so I want to give you guys the heads up on that one. And don't worry, it's not too confusing. You got this. You can do it. Go get 'em.
That's a wrap for today's safety show. Remember, safety isn't just about hard hats and caution signs. It's about business smarts too. Thanks for joining us on the Safety Consultant Show with Sheldon Primus. Until next time, stay safe, stay savvy, and keep consulting like a boss. Go get 'em. The views and opinions expressed on this podcast or broadcast are those of the host and its guests and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the company. Examples of analysis discussed within the past hour, only examples. It should not be utilized in the real world as the only solution available, as they are based only on very limited and dated open source information. Assumptions made within this analysis are not reflective of the positions of the company. No part of this podcast or broadcast may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, mechanical, electronic recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of the creator of the podcast or broadcast, Sheldon Primus.
This episode has been powered by Safety FM.